way to Mount Trumbull. The Mount Trumbull Schoolhouse is a small schoolhouse that was built, destroyed, and rebuilt, and today serves as a historical marker dedicated to the many individuals and families whose hard work and perseverance brought about this area that we're traveling to. I hope you'll sit back, enjoy the ride, and take a look and learn a little bit about the history of this area. What's really cool about this area is you go from really low desert and sagebrush and just nothing to now we're starting to move up in elevation, and we're getting into some of these little pinyon pine trees and rock formations, which is really cool. We're here at the Mount Trumbull Schoolhouse. This schoolhouse is an amazing historical marker that represents the service and sacrifice that the people that lived in this valley, the sacrifices they made to raise cattle and sheep and their families is tremendous. The schoolhouse, in fact, in the valley that we're in, the Mount Trumbull Valley, the people started arriving here in about 1917. And as they arrived here, they were granted 640 acres of land so they could raise cattle. They also, of course, raised different crops so they could sustain their families, but cattle ranching has primarily been was the staple in the area. There's a number of families that settled the area. In fact, when you come in the schoolhouse, there's a lot of Bundys. This is also known as Bundyville. Mount Trumbull is known as Bundyville. And there's still a tremendous amount of Bundys in the southern Utah, southern Nevada area, and I would imagine here in this area as well. It's really cool when you come in here. In fact, if you walk with me here, there's a little historical marker here that tells a little bit about the school. This school was actually rebuilt. It was destroyed in a fire and then was subsequently rebuilt. And not far from this location, the people that lived in this area or that came through this area would cut a lot of the wood. It's not far from here, that would be used in the building of the St. George's Temple, which is part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But anyway, let me show you into the schoolhouse and give you a little idea of what this is like. There's over here, you can actually sign your name when you come. There's a guest book, and you can sign your name and go through here and see some of the individuals that have come here before. But it's really a cool place, really dry. I'd imagine there's got to be some springs somewhere because there are a few homesteads along the way as you come into town. Either that or people are having water driven in, but I'm not sure. I'm not certain about that. But anyway, let me bring you into the schoolhouse so you can see a little bit about it. The schoolhouse burned down at one point and then was restored later. In fact, when you come into the schoolhouse, there's some pictures of the restoration project of the building, which is tremendous. You can see that the people that have ancestry here in this area pulled together and rebuilt the schoolhouse into what it is today. But let's take a look. As you look in, it's just an old single-room schoolhouse. That door right in the back leads to the exit. But as you come in here, you learn quite a bit about the area. In fact, you follow me over here. This is a map, like a three-dimensional map of the different homesteads that are in the area. And I think they list about 74 different homesteads. There's several springs and landmarks that you can see. Not far away to this direction is one of the most amazing views of the Grand Canyon that you'll ever see. It's called Weep, and it's about 30 miles drive. It's pretty rough road in some areas. I'd recommend a four-wheel drive road getting there, but it's an amazing view. You do have to have a permit from the National Park Service. There is a campground there. If you have a permit from the National Park Service, you're permitted to come in and camp and whatnot. But let me show you some of the stuff in the area. You can see they've done the chalkboards. There's tributes to the many families that are from this area, pictures of their families and events that they participated in and around the schoolhouse. Here's an amazing tribute here to the many different individuals that were servicemen, and there's some other pictures as well of the different servicemen from the families. But it really seems like the Bundys, the Iversons, and the Whipples are a lot of the family names that help this valley prosper. And I'm sure I'm missing some, and I apologize if I'm missing them. One of the things that I thought was really cool was the teacher's contract. In 1955, Mabel K. Sullivan entered into a teacher contract on the 30th day of May, 1955, and the dollar amount, you can read it down here, was $3,200 for the term of this contract that would be paid in, looks like 8 semi-monthly installments. So she made $3,200 a year to teach the students here in Bundyville or Mount Trumbull. Just an amazing place. In fact, the last, I think the school closed down, if I remember my history correctly, the school closed down in 1988 just because there just wasn't enough students to keep the school open. In fact, I think it was the last student had come through the school, if I remember right. And one of the last full-time residents in this area was Vivian Bundy. And there's more tributes to Vivian and the different Bundys all along here. But just an amazing place to come and see. I would encourage you, get off the beaten path. It's a 50-mile, well, 49 miles according to my odometer. It's a 40-mile dirt road. Most of it is a really good road. You do not need a four-wheel drive vehicle to get out here. But definitely, if you're in the southern Utah area and you're planning to go to Zion National Park or Bryce Canyon or any of the parks or state parks or lakes in the area, make a trip. Take a couple of hours, 3 to 4 hours out of your day. Get off Highway 7. And follow the road for 50 miles. You won't be disappointed. This is one of the great pioneer heritages in southern Utah that clearly represents the hard work, the service, and the sacrifice that the many families in the Mount Trumbull Valley put in and built this area and raised their children here. Tremendous area to see. I'd recommend it. Some of the area around here, the Bar 10 Ranch is just straight ahead, obviously, and Mount Trumbull to the left 12 miles. And if you follow that road, you'll actually come to Toro Weep. Toro Weep's one of the most amazing views of the Grand Canyon that you'll see around. Just showing you some of the area here, just a homemade sign pointing to some of the landmarks in the area, the cemetery, Roy Bundy's house, and whatnot. And of course across the way is a famous Mount Trumbull sign, 1916 to 2016. Interesting about this area, the last resident, full-time resident, moved out of the area around 1988, if I recall. There's still some homesteads back in the area. Here we are on the back side of the schoolhouse. You can see what would have been a playground for the kids. Of course, all this has been remade since the fire many years ago burned down the schoolhouse. And the schoolhouse was then rebuilt. But you can kind of see how remote the surrounding area is. But at the time of its peak, Mount Trumbull had about 250 residents. And these residents would send their kids off to school. And by 1988, they just didn't have enough students to maintain the schoolhouse and continue to have a teacher.